Okay, let's go ahead and get started. I want to welcome you to the Mixture Separation Laboratory, and I think a good place to start actually is with a definition of mixtures. So what is a mixture? In this test tube, I've placed water that I've heated to almost 100 degrees Celsius with salt, a small amount of salt, and I've shaken it in the test tube very well. So what I get is a mixture. Remember that water is a pure substance. It is a compound, and so is salt. It's NaCl. It's a pure substance. So I mix two pure substances and I get a mixture. And to be more specific, because the salt is completely dissolved in the water, it's a homogeneous mixture. So remember, homo means the same, so this is a homogeneous mixture because the salt is completely dissolved in the water. So let's contrast that then with the contents of this test tube. I've taken some water, also almost 100 degrees Celsius, and this time I've placed, instead of salt, iron filings into the water. As you can see, even if I shake the iron filings pretty vigorously, the iron filings eventually are going to make their way back down to the bottom. So this is not a homogeneous mixture. It's not the same throughout. Obviously, there's more iron filings on the bottom than on the top. Eventually, all the iron filings will fall down. This is not a homogeneous mixture. This is a heterogeneous mixture. So now that we're clear on the difference between homogeneous mixtures and heterogeneous mixtures, let's talk a little bit about how we might separate a mixture. So remember that mixtures can be separated by physical means, not by chemical means, but by physical means. So what's the objective for today? Well, the objective is to take the contents of the bag that's at your laboratory desk, and it's filled with some granulated material. You don't know exactly what it is at this point, but it's a small sandy looking material. And it is composed of four things. I'll talk about those in just a little while. And your job today is going to be to separate those four substances. In other words, you're going to do a physical separation today. So let's talk a little bit about what's in the baggie. What are the contents of the baggie? Well, there are actually four substances. And the first substance is poppy seeds. And yes, these are the type of poppy seeds that you might see on a poppy seed roll, and they're small and kind of granular, round, or spherical little poppy seeds. And so that's one of the contents, one of the components of the mixture that's in your bag. And we'll talk about some characteristics of poppy seeds in just a moment. The second is salt, just regular table salt that you might have in a salt dispenser on your kitchen table. And it's just regular salt, just like that. And you've seen salts already when we talked about the homogeneous mixture. The next is sand. This is silicon dioxide that you see on any beach. Silicon dioxide has specific properties that we'll talk about. And the last one is iron filings. So this is just iron, industrial grade iron, and it's been filed down, so it's very small. And so these are the four substances. So we have poppy seeds, salt, sand, and iron filings contained in the bag. Now your job will be to separate these away from each other. In other words, you should, at the end of this laboratory, have four different components separated: poppy seeds, salt, sand, and iron filings. Now, how might you go about that? Well, you're going to be given a number of different tools to use. One of them is going to be a magnet, like this one. So this is a bar magnet, and you're going to be using this bar magnet to determine or help to separate these. So let's take a look at what the bar magnet does to each of one of these substances. So if I place the bar magnet here, I'm not sure if you can see that on camera, but I will tell you that the poppy seeds are not in any way attracted to the bar magnet. Not in any way. There's no remnant of poppy seeds on the bar magnet. If I go to salt, same thing. Not magnetic at all. If we go to sand, no attraction there at all. If I go to iron filings, oh, absolutely. You can clearly see that. You can see that the iron filings are holding on to the magnet pretty vigorously. So we learned from that little experiment then that iron filings will be attracted to the magnet, but none of the other components of the mixture will. So I'll just take those iron filings off just a little bit. Okay, so that's that. Let's take a look at the poppy seeds. The poppy seeds are very light. They're not very dense at all. Okay. In fact, I'm going to do a little experiment right now in which I'm going to place into a beaker a little water, just a bit of water. Just like that. And I want to just determine whether poppy seeds will float or not. I believe they will, but let's see. So if I take a few of the poppy seeds, I'll take them from here, and I place them into the water, and sure enough, they float. Okay, I hope you can see that. All right. If I place salt, the salt clearly falls to the bottom. Sand also falls to the bottom. And iron filings straight to the bottom. So I can differentiate the poppy seeds from everything else then using just this little experiment right here. Poppy seeds float, everything else will sink to the bottom. Okay? The next thing is salt. All right? And we want to be able to distinguish between salt and sand. So what I've done is a little experiment in which I have taken water and I've heated it. You'll have access to a Bunsen burner. Be careful, but you'll have access to a Bunsen burner, and you're going to heat up the salt water solution. Look to see if the salt dissolves. Do the same thing with sand and see if you can distinguish between a salt solution and a sand solution, or a salt mixture and a sand mixture. If you can, then you're going to be able to separate salt from sand. Okay? And that should do it for you. You're also going to have at your disposal a funnel and beaker. You'll have a funnel and flask. You'll have a beaker, and you'll have filter paper. Remember, when you use the filter paper, the technique is to fold it just like that. Just fold it so that you get a nice cone like that. You're going to place it just like that into the funnel, and then use a little water. Use a little distilled deionized water to hold that funnel in place, just like that. And if you need to use a funnel, if you want to filter something, you have that access, okay? So that's your job. Find out the contents, figure out how to separate the contents of the bag, separate all the contents, call me over, I'll initial your laboratory report, and you are done. All right, thank you very much, and I'll see you on the next one. Thank you.